This is a Rattle and Hump Sports Podcast. I'm Bryan Houston. We're with Kelly Hitchcock. It is the muscle and the mouth, and we are talking today about creatine. And the reason that I bring this up is because in our last session we were talking about creatine and how it affects your body as you're lifting weights. And you talked about the source of creatine, muscle building material coming in red meat. But I will tell you that I've got a son that plays high school football, as do you. And he doesn't necessarily do this, but he's got a lot of friends that will go to the local GNC or whatever kind of a supplement store, and they'll buy buckets of creatine supplement to take for their weightlifting, trying to gain weight, get bigger for football. All right, what's your take on all that?
Okay, first, creatine, what it is, it's a source of fuel that our body uses in explosive lifts. So it's something that's real quick, fast, explosive. That's what your body's using for fuel. As we go further and are doing things that are 8 to 10 seconds long, then you start to shift into carbohydrates. And as you go longer than that, you start to shift into fat. So creatine is really for explosive top athletes like football players or sprinters. Like you said, the source of creatine mainly comes from red meat, in which most of us, including myself and my son, we do not eat red meat, or not a lot of it. So my son does take creatine. I did take it. I'm not taking it right now, but I have no problem taking it, but I just don't really feel like I need it. I'm 48 years old, and my goals are a little bit different. Okay, creatine is a cell volumizer. Our muscles are 70% water. Creatine allows our muscles to retain more fluid. Now, the more fluid you can retain in a muscle, inside the muscle, the stronger, the more explosive capabilities that muscle fiber will have. Let me also say, though, that another factor that greatly influences how much the muscle holds is carbohydrates. For every 1 gram of carbohydrate you eat, your muscles will retain 3 grams of fluid. Okay, so a lot of your how much water you're going to store inside the muscle is going to be dependent upon how saturated that muscle is with glycogen. So number one, you got to get your food right. Okay, so let's assume we're all eating pretty good every 3 hours. We have a carbohydrate source coming in. Now what we can do is we can supplement it, and that's what supplements are for. They're to supplement your good eating plan. Unfortunately, we try to take that in spite of our bad eating. Mm-hmm. So what you do is you will supplement your diet with creatine. Now, there's some misconceptions, and even the supplement company does it so that they can make more money off of us. Is they have a loading phase, and which is where you take, 5 to 6 teaspoons of creatine every day for 5 to 6 days, and they say that's to load up your muscle. Well, that would be great if it was true, but your muscles are only going to hold so much. So what I recommend is
what happens? You just pee that out?
Okay. Yeah, you just pee it out, as we do with most vitamins, because it's just way more than what we need.
Okay, so when you take too much of anything like that, bottom line is you're not going to retain it. It does nothing except go into the toilet.
Yes, exactly. You're wasting a lot of money. Okay, so just start off by taking a tablespoon every day. Okay, it's really beneficial to try to do it at the same time every day.
Why is that?
Well, because your body will get used to it'll over the course of a day, it's going to excrete it out, it's going to use it up, and so it's usually you got a 24-hour cycle there, so it's always good to keep a steady flow coming in.
Is it best to take it then first thing in the morning?
Well, you have two meals that are the most important meals of your whole day. One is breakfast, and one is the meal immediately after you weight train. Okay. The most anabolic meal that we have, and what I mean by that is the meal that we have that will help the most growth, the most recovery, is the meal 1 hour after exercise. Okay. You're in a very hormonal period of time at that moment. Your testosterone, your growth hormone, and your insulin levels are all elevated from the stress that's been placed upon your body. Whatever you put in your body within that hour, 70% of that will be absorbed into the muscles, because the muscles are empty. When you have a lot of insulin in the bloodstream, whatever you put in there, it's going to shuttle it somewhere. Okay. Now, unfortunately, if we put fat It's going to shuttle some to the muscle, but it's going to shuttle a lot to the fat stores. Okay. Also, fat slows down the absorption of food. Any other time during the day, I would recommend having a little bit of fat in your diet because you want to regulate and control the blood sugar, and the fat does help to slow down the release of protein and carb into the bloodstream. Really helps to control the blood sugar. But what we want to do after that training exercise is we want to put something in there that can be digested and absorbed quickly because it needs to be shuttled into the muscle within an hour while the hormone levels are high. So what I recommend doing is a protein shake. Let's say 25 grams. You want to double that in carbs. So let's say 50 grams of carbs, and that carb needs to be in the form of a simple sugar. So any kind of fruit, I'd say load it up with bananas, strawberries, blueberries with your protein shake. I would use water because there's no fat in that. And I would also do your tablespoon of creatine with that. Okay. You got the insulin levels are high. You've got the simple sugars that are in the bloodstream. That creatine with the simple sugars is going to be shuttled, and they have it's called transport system. With the creatine products, this is going to be you've got a natural transport system occurring right now in that moment. So let's just buy the plain creatine without the transport system, and let's use it in this very anabolic moment, and your muscles will absorb almost every bit of it compared to any other time of the day, maybe only absorbing 50% of it.
How quickly do you need to do this after your workout?
I would say anywhere right around 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, so it needs to be done within 20 or 30 minutes.
Yes, I mean, when I get through with my workout, I pretty much go and make a shake immediately, and I start drinking it. And that allows it to load really quick.
Okay. What happens if you don't do that?
Well, if you don't do that, what happens is
if you wait later.
Okay, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes after your workout. What happens is your blood sugar is low, and your brain needs sugar. So what happens is your body starts to release a hormone called cortisol. So what happens is your body releases this hormone, and it starts breaking down the muscle that you're trying to build to use it for sugar.
Okay, so you've basically wasted your workout then.
Oh, I mean, people come in and they work out hard every day just to leave. They don't realize that instead of increasing muscle size, your body actually starts to cannibalize itself. It starts to eat the muscle tissue that you're trying to build. So it's very, very important right after you get through with that workout to do a shake like that.
Okay. Now, the thing that bugs me about the creatine thing with high school kids is that these guys have no idea what they're doing. They go into a place, they spend money on this, a lot of money on it. They're not supervised in any way when they take it. So I guess my concern is, can they hurt themselves in any way when they're doing this unsupervised and they really don't have any idea what they're doing?
The main problem with creatine is that kids get dehydrated. Okay, since it gives you potential to store fluid. If you're not giving it enough fluid, then it starts pulling fluid from other areas of the body, and so the muscles start to cramp. The kids were loading up on this about 2 to 3 years ago in high school, and I was hearing a lot of talk about kids cramping up, and so they just kind of got away from taking it at all, and they thought it was the creatine that was doing it. Well, most kids don't drink enough fluid. And so you've just got to make sure that when you're taking the creatine that you're providing it with a lot of water. Drink a lot of fluid.
And that even is even more so the case when you're in a place like Texas where it's hell Texas from May until middle of October.
Yes. I mean, my son did it all for the past 2 years, starting in 9th grade and he's in 10th grade, and never had a problem cramping. But that was because I stressed, that you've got to drink the fluid. And he would carry a water bottle with him to school, as most kids do. Mm-hmm. And then he just made sure that when he ran out on the field, the football's not like when you and I played. And, they made you tough by limiting your water. Now they provide water all the time. So just make sure if you're using it just to keep the water coming in.
And there's no risk of failing any kind of drug test or anything by taking creatine?
None at all. I mean, it's not a hormone. That if you could fail a drug test taking that, then if you were a heavy meat eater, then you would also fail the drug test. So there's no risk of failing a drug test.
Okay, and then I don't want to get into a long talk about other supplements right now, but there are things out there that you can fail drug tests on, and kids are doing that right now without supervision as well. So where do you get solid information on what you should and should not be taking to train for football or, some kind of athletics, especially high school kids?
I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I think you can just Google, drugs that could cause you to be suspended playing football. Mm-hmm. And there will be a list. I know, even there's a lot of the things that I have a problem with is all these Red Bull and Monster drinks. I think that's a big problem. And, a lot of these kids don't realize that they could have a heart problem, and this just kind of speeds it up. And you have kids having heart attacks because they're drinking way, way too much of the stimulant. So that's something you really need to be careful of. And then there's also some pro-hormone type things out there that increases hormone levels. They say it does it naturally. I've even heard of some companies putting a little bit of hormones in these products. And that's something you need to watch out for.
And then as a parent, I guess you got to really make sure you know what your kids are involved with, whatever they're doing. Whether it be something like this, that's not going to be real harmful to you like creatine, but you still need to know what they're up to and what they're taking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you have a doctor that you're friends with, that would be someone to consult with. Or if you have a trainer that you know is reputable, talk to them. I would not talk to the supplement company people. I mean, their goal is to make money, and they're gonna tell you all the benefits while kind of minimizing the side effects. So you need to be really careful and concerned about who you're seeking advice from. But yeah, I would check with a doctor or check with a trainer at the school. That might be a good option because they're usually up on all of that.
We hope so anyway.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. Kelly, thanks very much. We appreciate your time as always. Where can people go to find information out about any of this stuff if they need to talk to somebody about anything that's going on as far as fitness and nutrition?
You can reach me at my email at khfitness@aol.com. Or you could even look us up on Facebook. It's all one word. It's KH Fitness, and ask me questions there.
And I've got a Twitter account as well, at Bryan Houston, so you can send us the questions as well, and I can forward them on to Kelly, and we can make podcasts out of them. Okay?
Sounds great.
All right. Kelly Hitchcock with KH Fitness, a physical trainer, always giving us great information about health, fitness, and nutrition, and that's all for Rattle and Hum Sports. Of course, you can check out this and other podcasts on rattleandhumsports.com. This is the muscle and the mouth, and we will talk to you next time on rattleandhumsports.com.